Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. This is obviously a Spurs chat video, the instant reaction after Tottenham have just lost at home to Manchester United 3-1. More points dropped from winning positions. Jose Mourinho has never lost 10 Premier League games in a Premier League season. Jose Mourinho has never ever lost a home game against Manchester United. Spurs are 7th, 6 points away from top 4. The mood is very low yet again. Ricky, I'm going to start with you. Welcome back to the channel. How are you? How are you feeling after that?
Firstly, thanks for having me. How am I feeling after that, mate? It's very deflating. It's very deflating. Very like the pressure sits, it's setting in now with the boys, and yeah, it's tough, man. That was tough to watch. It was tough to watch because when watching it, we could all see what was happening, you know what I mean? And we could all see that it was going to happen. Even when we went 1-0 up, it was just like, okay. We was lucky that Cavani's goal got ruled off from VAR, but it was like, okay, you could see that they were more up for it. They had a better game plan. They knew, if they get at our defense, that, there's a big possibility that they could score, and they did.
Melvyn, let's come to you. What are your initial thoughts after the game?
I don't know. I think our midfield duo or trio got tired as the game gone on. I think we contained them in the first half, even though we didn't play at our best. But we kept them at in front of us. A tactic that worked in the beginning of the season, where teams had the ball, but they were contained, nothing really dangerous. And I think as we don't have the fitness for 90 minutes of that. We keep conceding late goals, and it's another game, sadly, that it's the same problem. Højbjerg can't do it for 90 minutes, and Ndombele can't do it for 90 minutes, and Gio as well. And the substitution, with Moussa Sissoko coming in, he didn't really make any impact. And it's the same old story, sadly. How many goals we keep conceding, and I'm starting to blame, I think, a bit of fitness, because we can't do it in the first half. We were defending fairly well, but nothing too dangerous. But in the second half, we just lost control, and the game, I don't know, we're not really in fine form, but it could have been, not an easy, but it could have been a 1-0 or a 2-1, but it went away from us, this one. And I didn't really see a victory for us today, but we got lucky, like Rick said, with the VAR incident. And I don't know, I think with fitter midfielders and more legs in that midfield, we could have got away with one, but not today.
Josh, let's come to you. Before I get your thoughts on the actual game, Rob Smith writes here, the modern game has moved on, Jose has not. Gary Paul Speed writes, enough, Levy out, Jose out, Kane no interest, he's done. What are your thoughts on those?
Oh, well, I think you might be right. I think the lads who have given the super chats might be right, because that today was absolutely a complete shambles in the second half. Bringing on Sissoko as well, it's just insane. You can't hold on to a 1-0 lead against Manchester United. Well, why is he trying to do that? That's ridiculous. I think it's actually criminal management from Jose to do that. The game was there to be won in the second half, and we came out and we just crumbled. We crumbled like a nice apple crumble. Literally, that's what we did. We fell apart in the second half. No character, no spine. We were completely spineless in the second half. No leadership, nothing. We completely fell apart in that second half. And Jose, you have to put the blame on him for bringing on silly players like Sissoko to hold a lead when you need to go at Manchester United to try and get a result, especially with the position that we're in. We're chasing top 4. That's gone now. Top 4's gone. Completely gone, especially with the West Ham result today. So I think we've got a lot of problems at this football club. And I think there's going to be a lot of things that are going to have to happen in the summer. If that's Jose going, we need new ownership with investment. There's so many problems with Tottenham at the moment, and we've got a real rocky road in front of us.
Ricky, let's come to you. Josh says about the problems there and lack of leaders on the pitch. Now, when that team lineup come out, what were your thoughts? Because, of course, no Toby Alderweireld yet again in that back line. You know, a lot of us have said on this channel many, many times that we all feel that Toby Alderweireld is our best defender. Whether Jose Mourinho and Toby have had a falling out, whatever it is, surely Jose Mourinho at this stage of the season, and like Josh said, you know, going for that top 4 spot, you know, we're now 6 points away from top 4, sitting in 7th. Surely he has to pick the best possible 11.
Surely. And all of us know it, but obviously there's something that's gone on there. I felt the same. I felt the same as soon as I saw the back line. I was disappointed that Toby wasn't in it. The one thing that Toby did do when he first came in was give our back line composure. You know, he brought a calmness. He brought a you know, a kind of don't worry, we can sort it out type of energy. And with every centre-back partnership that we've had this season, it's not really been there without him. Just before Christmas, I think it was Toby and Dier, wasn't it? That were the 2 centre-backs. And that seemed to be working up until Christmas. But ever since then, it's just seemed like we're sinking in quicksand. You know what I mean? And it's a slow sink. And we can all see that we're about to drown, but nobody's throwing out any sticks to help anybody else. It really does feel like watching Tottenham back in the 90s, where one week we'd get a result and we'd be good, and the next week we wouldn't. You know, the top 6, back in the 90s, we wouldn't really get a sniff against them. And it kind of seems that way again now. And if we do, then we're lucky. We've grabbed it, we've nicked it. You know, it's really disappointing to see how far we have fallen so quickly. The one thing that Poch gave us, and I was saying this to you earlier, Chris, the one thing that Poch gave us was pride. I remember my very, very first Spurs podcast, and it was with Crackers and it was with Anthony Costa. And this was, I think, yeah, Poch had just come in at that point. And look, let me tell you as well, when Poch first came in, I wasn't too kind of, you know, I didn't really believe that he was the one for us at that point either. But he came in and he radically improved Dembele, gave him a mission, gave him a purpose, gave him like a role to fulfill. And we saw improvement throughout the squad. And the one thing that he promised us was pride. You know what I mean? He wanted to bring pride back to Tottenham and back to the team and back to the fans, you know, so that we would have some pride within our squad. And I remember saying on that podcast, because at that point, you know, we was all over the place as well, just before Poch. And I remember saying to Crackers at that point, you know, the one thing I want from Spurs is for them to care. It's for them to give 100% for 90 minutes, you know, to give us some fight, give us, you know, to believe in ourselves a bit more. And Poch gave us all of those things, you know. He really did. He brought class and he brought style and he brought a sense of pride. It didn't matter who we was going up against. Man City with all their millions and billions, or whether it was Man United or the Gooners or Chelsea, whoever we went up against, I always had faith that these boys was going to put everything in for 90 minutes, and we were more than likely going to win that game. If we came out with a draw, then we was disappointed. And if you know, the majority of losses were a rarity, not towards the end, but the majority of losses were a rarity. You know, Poch broke every single record going that was against us. And it just seems like watching the team again, it seems like, you know, when Gareth left the first time, he was, that last season under AVB, he was the match winner. He was the one that got us out of trouble all the time. He would bang a screamer from outside the box or a free kick or do something. And, you know, at the end of that season, when he would go to Real Madrid, even though we didn't want him to go, we all kind of respected him for what he had done. And we kind of understood that, okay, cool, you want to go and achieve some stuff and Real Madrid, okay, fine. And it kind of seems that way this year with Harry Kane. You know, like he seems to have pulled us out of ditches many a time, and you know, it just seems like maybe he's had enough. Maybe he's had enough of the project. You know, the one thing that Poch gave us was a family kind of feel. Everyone was there. Everyone within the squad at that point were brothers. They were all pulling together for each other. It wasn't a bunch of individuals. And it just seems like all of that has gone, you know, which is really kind of upsetting and disappointing and depressing all at the same time. And, you know, week in, week out, I mean, last week against Newcastle, I couldn't really believe that, you know, and then like this week you come to it and all of us know, you know, because we're all Tottenham fans and we all want them to do well. But I think all of us had the feeling of kind of, this is going to be a tough one today. You know, if we get something, we're going to nick it. You know, that back line, we can't have faith in them, and nor does any of the squad have faith in that back line. So it's a tough one, bro. It's a really tough one.
We will come on to Harry Kane later on in the show, Ricky. So we will talk about him. Melvyn, let's come to you. Brandon on screen writes now, we pressed in the second half, then fell off. Moussa Sissoko was brought on to bring stability. Then offensive changes came. We got beat. He's brought us to the brink of many wins many times. We have to take them. What are your thoughts on Jose at the moment?
I don't know, because we're not really a team that has a plan, do we? It seems to be we play without a plan. We don't have a structure to our team. And I feel the best results we've had this season was we sort of did have a structure in the beginning when we played Højbjerg and Sissoko together in a two. And, you know, they covered between the defenders and they dropped in. And yeah, we played a bit of boring football. But that's when we had our best run. You know, we beat in Manchester City, we beat in Arsenal. And we even got a draw at Stamford Bridge, which, you know, we rarely get any points from there. And it's just all of a sudden something changed, you know, and Ndombele got a bit fitter and he started him playing, you know, in that role with Højbjerg. And, you know, that's when we kept the most clean sheets as well, when we played that formation and we played Tobys and Dier together. And it just seems we keep changing the formations and we don't have even the structure of the team changes and the roles change. And one game we play defensive, counter-attacking football, and then it's just there's not enough consistency. It seems this whole season, the league has been just who's capable of being consistent the most. I don't think we're a bad team. I just think we're a good team who's not consistent. And if you look at Manchester United, if you look at Leicester, even these teams that are above us, they're not better than us, are they? They're just more consistent than we are. That's the truth of it. We're just not consistent, and we're not there yet. And a couple of signings, we're the same team. We're obviously not going to improve, and we can't keep getting more upset and blaming this on Jose. You know, if we keep losing and dropping points, you know, nothing's changed since December. Nothing's changed since November.
Well, Melvyn,
Same team.
I completely agree with Brad's comment on screen now. Groundhog Day again. You know, it feels like that. You know, it feels like every time we do these chats now, it's the same old things that we're talking about. As soon as any team starts actually competing with us, like Manchester United in the second half, we have no answer. Pathetic. And it does feel like that, doesn't it? You know, why can't Tottenham compete for 90 minutes? You know, Josh mentioned earlier about Giovanni Lo Celso. He's played around 70 games for Spurs, and he's only completed 90 minutes in a Tottenham shirt only 8 times.
Wow.
I think I've said this, you know, in I think last week. We're playing with players who cannot play for 90 minutes. You know, how can we get top 4? We're playing with Gareth Bale, who cannot complete 60 minutes. We're playing with Ndombele, who's only getting up to speed with the Premier League. We're the same with Lo Celso. You know, and Højbjerg alone cannot, you know, keep us the lead, keep us in the game. He cannot do it alone, and he's not perfect. Yes, he's played well and he's promising for the future, and I think, you know, he's definitely held his place for next year. But there's some players around him who just just don't do it, don't defend enough, and don't provide anything productive going forward. And that needs to change for next season. We need players who are productive in both aspects. And sadly, we don't have enough of them this season. And we need players who can play for 90 minutes. Under Poch, we had a spine. We had a spine with Vertonghen and Toby that led all the way to the attack. And we had two central midfielders who could defend and could, at time, go forward with Moussa Dembele and Victor Wanyama. We don't have a spine this season. I would cry for a Victor Wanyama this season, along with Højbjerg. We don't have a spine. Teams walk through us. When we get tired after. That's why we keep conceding around the same time in the second half. We keep conceding when we get tired, when there's no legs. And I would blame this season Jose on his substitutions as well. Most of them never made any sense. It's substitutions, a guy with his experience, and maybe he doesn't have the players on the bench, but his substitutions rarely make an impact. Most of the time, it makes us even worse.
Josh, let's come to you. Brandon writes another comment here, so thank you very much, Brandon. Toby over Eric Dier all day, but he had a solid match. Not perfect, but I don't know how to put this one on him. We have to press and keep moulding the team. Culture takes time. What was your thoughts on Eric Dier's performance today?
When the starting lineup came out, the first thing I thought was, oh, for God's sake, Jose, what are you doing starting Dier when we've got other options on the bench and in the squad? And I wasn't particularly happy that Dier was playing. But saying that, in the first half, I thought Eric Dier did a decent job. I can't really complain about Eric Dier's performance in the first half. And although in the second half, that goal that Cavani scored, the header, I think he just got beaten to it. Cavani had a free header and Dier really should have tried to win it. But we can't blame Eric Dier on this defence. We've done it before and we said, oh, it's his fault and he's given away a penalty in the last minute and we've drawn or dropped points. Today wasn't Eric Dier's fault. It totally wasn't Eric Dier's fault. I think, as Anthony said when he's come on this chat many times, sad thing is we're ingrained bottle jobs. This happens literally every single time. As soon as we went 1-0 up, the first thing that came into my mind was, when are they going to get an equaliser? When are they going to score again? And it's so sad that we have to think about that as a Spurs fan. That's wrong. And as Melvyn said, oh yeah, we've conceded some late goals, fitness issues this season, but it's been happening for years. It happened on the Poch. We bottled it every single time it came to the moment where you need to win. We bottled it in big games, in games like cup semis, cup finals, games like this, and it hasn't changed under Jose. And you would have thought that it would. Jose is that type of manager who comes in your club and he changes your mentality. And if there was one thing that he wanted to change after Poch, was to stop bottling it, and he hasn't. Jose's come in and he hasn't stopped us bottling it. I think it's actually got worse. I genuinely think we're bottling more games under Jose. We're bottling it against teams that we should be beating.
He's breaking every single record, Josh. Every single record that he has held, he is breaking them. As I said at the start of the video, never ever lost at home against Manchester United, and never lost 10 Premier League games in a Premier League season, and he's done that. Now, Rob Smith writes on screen here for you, Josh. Jose Mourinho plays anti-football. It goes against the ethos of Spurs. We play attacking football, not score one goal and then sit back. How are you feeling about that?
I know it's horrible. I think it's horrible, especially after, the worst thing is after watching such beautiful football under Poch, and it has changed. And we watched, especially in the second half of that game, and they just sit back and let us get mauled by Man United. Let's not muffle our words here. We got absolutely mauled by Man United in the second half. That was embarrassing. That was completely embarrassing. And I turned off the television. I've never turned it off after a goal and not to watch the end. But when Mason Greenwood scored that third goal, I turned it off. I thought that was too much. That was ridiculous that we conceded that third goal. They just gave up in the second half. And it's I think they've lost confidence in Jose. This anti-football, this defensive football. I think all the players have just kind of subconsciously gone, can't be bothered anymore. I don't want to play like this anymore. Some players have obviously, I think there was some talk about cliques forming in the changing room, people who don't agree with Mourinho's style, Like Dele Alli was isolated, others were isolated. Even someone like Sissoko didn't play for about 3 months because he said one thing against Mourinho. It's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare to be a Spurs fan at the moment, and I just don't know where we go from here. To be honest, maybe the right thing to do is to get rid of Jose. I think maybe it's time for him to go, maybe, and we really do need a new manager to come in to instill a proper mentality into these players. But then, if you think logically, if they can't have a mentality under Poch or Jose, then who is there who's going to come in and change them? So maybe it's the players. I don't know. It's a nightmare. It's awful.
Well, there's a super chat here, a huge super chat from Jeremy Smith. So thank you so much for that. Come on, guys, it's time to forget the manager. It doesn't matter how this board and Ebenezer leave. No good for this club. If Harry Kane goes this summer, the next league title we'll win will be the Championship. Now, I asked you off screen, Ricky, how you felt about Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho, the board, the players, the fans have spoken about them all. They've blamed them all, throughout this season. It's been so up and down this season. What is next for Tottenham? Because, we're sitting in 7th place. Our next Premier League game is against Everton on Friday night. They're just behind us. They've got a game in hand over us as well. If Tottenham don't win that League Cup in a couple of weeks' time and we don't finish in a European spot, for next season, what is next?
I really don't know. I really don't know, Chris. Like I was saying, I think we've fallen so far behind, and a lot of that has to do with the board and the investment at the right times. When we was Champions League regulars, we should have been going for the players that were a step above what we normally go for, because we could have attracted them. It was that time to attract them, and we had the money to back them. We had the money to pay them their wages and stuff like that. And we just didn't do that. We kind of rested on our laurels, put the pressure on Poch to kind of just keep that ticking over and keep that going. As long as we got into the top 4, then okay, great, we can keep that money rolling in. But we didn't invest in the right areas at the right times, and improve in the right areas at the right times. So if Jose goes, then I just see the same pattern happening again. Like a new manager comes in, you've got the squad of players. Okay, cool. Well, what can you get out of them? And then once the manager says, "Well, I need A, B, and C," then we give them, X, Y, and Z. Do you know what I mean? Like we don't go for the positions and the players that we should go for. Mourinho, he needs. I've said this before. He needs Mourinho players. He needs players that love him, that want to fight for him, that will go through brick walls for him. We know that Højbjerg is one of those. We know that Reguilon loves him. And we have seen some of his methods work in the sense of Ndombele. So for instance, like Ndombele, I felt had a great game today in the sense of every part of the game. So he's tracking back, his tackles, his movement forward, his trickery. And when he took him off, I was shaking my head, because he was the one that was trying to make something happen, and could make something happen out of really tight situations. Where we go from here, I really, really don't know. I know it's been a pandemic, and I know we've had no fans in the stadium and no week-to-week revenue. So we all already know that excuse is coming for the investment in the summer and for the certain players that we need to go forward. It's really tough. It is really, really tough. A lot of the players, I feel, that are in there, some of them got fed up of Poch's way, the double training sessions, the intensity, the pressing. There is a lot in that squad. There was a clique in that squad that wanted Poch to go, because he was looking at improving in the areas of certain players. For instance, like Toby. Toby wanted Poch gone because Toby wasn't in the side at the time, and we was looking to improve on that area. And it's really tough, man. I think those that are in there are still some in there that are not just fed up with what was before with Poch, but are now fed up with Jose, and almost fed up with the Tottenham project. So we do need some players in there that want to be there for the shirt, you know, that want to achieve something, because we've been on a transitional project for the last 5-6 years and nothing's come of it as yet. You know, nothing's come of it. We've had some great times under Poch, and like I say, he gave us some pride, and he gave us some faith going into every single game. Right now, it's sinking. You know, it's sinking, and it's tough. And I just, even if we was to sell a big player and get some money in, can we trust the board to kind of go out there and get the players that we need? I really don't know. I always have love, and I'll always back my team. And you know, there have been other big teams, Man United being one, Chelsea being another, even Liverpool over the years that have dropped out of the top fours and have had poor seasons, and then next season they've bounced back. You know, next season they've had a new kind of inspiration of let's go and get this energy. I just don't know where we get it from, because the narrative of Spurs has been very Spursy, has been bottle jobs, like Anthony and Josh were saying, and I don't know how that changes. We know that Jose is a born winner, and we know that he doesn't want to go out there to lose. So it's really tough to see him like this. It's really tough to see him falling and failing and not being able to hold on to leads and kind of lose faith in himself on the pitch and capitulate, you know, and it's really tough to see. I really don't know what needs to wake them up.
Ricky, if you were Harry Kane right now, you know, particularly after this week, all of us Tottenham Hotspur fans have been hearing and reading stories all week about if Tottenham don't, qualify for the Champions League for next season, then Harry Kane will be off. Now, the previous super chat, Jeremy, he mentioned Harry Kane. David on screen now is saying that Daniel Levy is letting Harry Kane down. How many seasons has he had to help managers build a team around him? And we've just bought cheaper options. Now, if you were Harry Kane, and, you know, whatever Tottenham do this season, will you be at Tottenham next season? You know, if you were him.
See, the thing is with Kane is that he's a Tottenham boy, so he's gone through the 90s. He grew up during that time, and he was there during the Poch era where there was this big kind of there was faith that something was going to come of it. You know, we got to the Champions League final. Yes, every time we step up to the plate, every time it's time to step up to the plate, like Josh was saying, we falter. But we was getting there. We was building something. There was a project that could be successful. Right now, I would probably say that he sees it as well. He sees the fed upness. He's probably fed up himself. He's probably tired of the project himself. And I wouldn't blame him. And I wouldn't go, I wouldn't call him a Judas or a traitor or anything. I wouldn't have any kind of ill feeling towards him if he did want to go. I would actually wish him well, because, unlike us fans, he can switch teams. Us, we're going to back Tottenham, win, lose or draw. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. We'll come on, we'll have a rant about it. We'll complain about it. We'll even have a giggle about it. But he is somebody that has bailed out a lot of managers, that has been there for a lot of rebuilds. And if he wanted to go, like I said, I won't blame him. It was after the Man City game for me, the last Man City game, where we basically had nothing throughout that game. And I think the week before it was West Ham, and that was another horrendous performance. And there's been too many horrendous performances. So if I was him, I could see him looking in the mirror at one point, going, "What am I doing? Like, I love the club inside and out, but I want to win leagues. I want to win championships. I want to win Champions Leagues. I want my hand on the big trophies, and we're so far behind that it looks like I'm going to have to go." He actually had that interview with Jamie Redknapp. What was it, last season, I think?
Yeah.
I think it was last season where Jamie asked him, like, would you be at Tottenham forever? And he said something along the lines of, and I think he's always said this, along the lines of, if I can see Spurs going in the right direction, I'm here. You know, but us as Tottenham fans, can we see Spurs going in the right direction?
No.
You know, so what is he seeing? And he sees it from the inside. So if he wants to go, like anyone, if anyone wants to go, cool, go. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't want you there if you don't want to be there. Because you won't turn up when it's time to turn up. We need players that want to be there and that have got the stomach for the fight and for the long haul. You know?
Yeah.
And Harry's done it. Harry's done it for a long time. But the one thing with Harry as well, let me give him his credit as well, is that there's never really been a report that he has wanted to leave. I know there was one this week, but there's never really been over the seasons that he's wanted to leave. He's been, ever since he's burst onto the scene, and I say burst on, you know, you got to remember he was a one-season wonder at one point, but ever since he's burst onto the scene, every single year, the press or the transfer rumor mill has been out every summer that he's going. So
do you know what though, Ricky? Sorry to interrupt you there. During the international break, you know, he could have very easily come out and said, "No, I'm going to be a Tottenham Hotspur player next season." He didn't do that. He's kept it wide open.
Yeah, and because you can see that. I mean, maybe by him keeping it open, he's sending a message to Levy and the board and those that are at Tottenham. Like the I can't remember who put up the comment there that almost like the board has failed Harry by getting cheaper options. I think that's a fair statement. I think that's a fair statement. You know, we should be up there. You know what Melvyn was saying earlier is exactly right. We've got a dynamite team. You know, when they want to play, when they do have some structure, when they do have a plan, when they believe in that plan, when they can put their best foot forward. But it just keeps crumbling. Like Josh was saying, it just keeps crumbling. Every single time we step up to the plate and it's time to win that game, to get ahead, or a cup final, or you know, like in Newcastle, to go into the top four for the first time in ages, it doesn't happen. So,
yeah,
you know, if he's a top player through and through, and if he feels that, all right, nah, this is not working, then I see him going.
Before I get on to the next super chat, Charlie writes here about buying Josh a pint. I can't wait to buy all of you a pint when we're back in the stadium. I can't wait for that, for the fans to be back in the stadiums. And I think that the mood, and I think that you know, the fans towards Jose Mourinho and the players will really be heard, you know, when the fans are back in there, if we carry on playing like we do. Melvyn, let's come to you. AJ's 1988 writes, Harry Kane will be priced out of a move. Now, what are your thoughts on Harry Kane, all this speculation about him possibly going if Tottenham don't get in the top four?
I don't know. Levy has a really, really massive asset on his hands, doesn't he? You know, if we do sell him, it will be probably world record fee, 120 million, 150 million. You know, no part of me wants Harry Kane to go. You know, just look behind me. Where is it? Here. You know, we have got Harry Kane shirts. The guy is only a couple of days older than me. He's my age. I'm living my dream of playing for Spurs through him because I see him. He's my age. He's only a couple of days older than me, and he does, you know, world-class things for Tottenham. And I love the guy. I don't want to see him go. But if he does leave, you know, will we blame him? Will we boo him? We won't, would we? Because the guy is, you know, he's been playing for us for so many years, and he's just been let down by the club. And I think the stadium has probably come at a bit of, the timing has been a bit poor, because maybe we've been, you know, it's been a shackle to our legs, because if we didn't focus on our stadium for so long, I think we would have focused more on the team. But at the same time, we need the stadium to go forward and for the future. And that time we're poached in by any players, and we didn't really have any new blood into the club. I think that's where we're really, really still struggling from that, because I think those signings, even moving players on, has been difficult for the club. It's just, I don't know. I think the board let Harry Kane down. I agree with that statement, but you know, Will he leave? I don't think he will. I honestly think he'll stay at the club. Not because he probably, lost a bit of faith with the club and doesn't see us going forward, because we probably look worse than we were in 2018 or 2019. We don't look like a good side right now. But honestly, I don't think we're that far off as people think we are. A couple of good key signings, and we're not that far off. How many teams this season have, played us off the park? We've been very, very close in lots of matches. We haven't lost by massive margins this season, a couple here and there, but that happens every season. How many points have we dropped in the last minutes? The game is such fine margins, with Pochettino's team just being a really, really incredibly fit side, won us most of the games and got us over the edge sometimes. And I think we've been lacking that this season. And the game is extremely fine margins. And when we're struggling from not signing players, not replacing players that we've lost, we're still struggling from these things. And we don't have a bad team. We have a really good side going forward. It's just, defending in our midfield has been letting us down all season. And we're not that far off. If we can sell lots of the deadwood we have around the club and generate some money and free up some wages and get a few, young players into the club, like Oliver Skip and maybe Ryan Sessegnon, I don't think we'll be that far off next season. And sacking Jose is not the answer, is it? I think Jurgen Klopp finished 8th place in his first season, and he got investment and bought lots of players. So did Pep Guardiola. He had really bad seasons in the beginning. You need to give these guys time and to adapt and get players that they want and players that they trust. And we're still with the same. We still play mostly the same players Pochettino played, apart from Ndombele and Lo Celso. We're not that far off. If Kane leaves, yes, it's a shame and it'll be disappointing, but it will bring the club a huge injection of cash, and hopefully they'll spend it like they did with the Gareth Bale money. The only difference, hopefully, we spend it on the right players and buy the players that Jose is gonna want and going to play. And we keep forgetting as well Dele Alli, a guy with massive talent that's gone silent all season. I want Jose in the club, but this is where I blame Jose for these things. How could you do that to Dele Alli? I'll never forgive him for this, because yes, he blew up Harry Kane and his stats are incredible, but why didn't he try to do the same thing with Dele Alli? Obviously, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and we don't know what's being said behind the doors, but surely the guy has talent. We've seen it under Poch, and we've seen it at times in the Europa League. He can produce magic, something that we've been missing sometimes this season. And probably Dele Alli's value has dropped so low. Look at Jesse Lingard. He's not been playing well at Manchester United. Watch Dele Alli get sold next season and absolutely rip it up wherever he goes. This is where I blame Jose, and where I really, if I struggle with that. It's very painful for me to see him on the bench.
Well, Dele Alli's birthday today, and he couldn't even get a minute of Premier League football. And in my opinion, Melvyn, I don't think that you're going to have the two of them at the club next season. I think if Jose doesn't go, I think Dele Alli will go, or vice versa, for next season, because I just can't see why Tottenham would keep Dele Alli at the club if Jose Mourinho is going to be our manager, because he's just not going to use him. I just don't think he's going to use him in that manner. Josh, let's come to you. AJ's 1988, the second part of this, says any team that could afford Harry Kane would want Mbappe or Haaland. We're talking about Levy after all. Now, what worries me is when you go back, Kyle Walker left for Manchester City. 6 months later, he won a trophy. He hasn't stopped winning trophies, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, you name it. And of course, they're looking strong in this season's Champions League as well. If Harry Kane was to move from Spurs, do you think that Manchester City would probably be the most likely destination, bearing in mind that he'd probably want to stay in England with his young family, but he knows he can win trophies there? That's what really worries me as a Spurs fan.
Well, if you're looking at this situation through Harry Kane's eyes, I think he would be looking at Man City thinking, England, don't want to move abroad. Obviously, he probably would have been told what it's like at Real Madrid from Gareth Bale in training, and I don't think he would have wanted to go to Spain. Obviously, Man City win a lot of trophies, and Kyle Walker's shown that. As soon as he left us, as you said, he won a bunch of trophies, and it's the same with Eriksen as well. He's about to win the Serie A with Inter Milan, which is quite depressing as well. You get these players, these great players at Tottenham who don't win anything. They leave and then they go and win all these trophies. But yeah, I just can't see Levy selling him to an English rival. I do not think that will happen. I think if he's off, the only club that will be able to afford him is PSG. Because I can see a movement of Mbappe maybe leaving and then Harry Kane coming in. But also, as you say, with Man City, they've just lost Aguero. Aguero's off in the summer. They have a huge vacancy to fill up front. And looking at that, logically, they might be going, right, let's splash the cash on Harry Kane. Let's go and spend £150 million on Harry Kane. And if that kind of deal is good enough for Levy, then maybe he'll take it. But that, I think, if you look at the risk assessment, I think if we lose Harry Kane, there are many more negatives than there are positives. I think if we lose Harry Kane, we don't just lose a striker. We lose a player who's not only a legend for Tottenham, but he's so important in our creative play and our build-up. Everything over the pitch. He was defending like crazy against Man United. He must have headed the ball away about 15 times every time they put a ball in the box. He contributes so much to this team. So if we lose Harry Kane, it's not the equivalent of Man City losing Aguero. It's much more for us. And I think it's going to do a lot of damage to Tottenham if we do lose him, even if we do cash in and get quite a lot of money. So I don't want to see Kane leave. I really don't. But what strikes me the most is how much football's changed in the past year. Before this Spurs game today, I watched West Ham and I was just genuinely shocked. I mean, they're in the top 4. West Ham, we're talking about West Ham here. They were in the relegation zone, literally fighting relegation last year, and now they're in the top 4. And if you want to keep positive as a Spurs fan, as we all love this club and we all want this club to succeed, there's no Tottenham fan who wants this club to fail. And if you look at it that way, football can change so much in a year. In 1 year's time, we might be right up there in the Premier League, challenging for cups. Football might have changed a lot, and we know that this can happen. But I think when there's bad times, you've just got to get through them. There's no point throwing all the toys out the pram and getting really upset, because we know that a lot of clubs go through this. And another example is Arsenal. I mean, look at Arsenal. At least we're not below Arsenal. That is a positive to take as a Tottenham fan at the moment. Arsenal are an absolute shambles and we're actually above them. But it shows North London, we're not fighting to be some of the best teams in the world now. We're pretty much the embarrassment of the Premier League. And that's not nice to see.
Yeah, the comment on screen just says it all. Depressing season. All the best to Harry Kane, legend. Now, Ricky, let's come to you. AJ's 1988 writes another super chat here, so many thanks for that. How many of you four will be looking forward to going back in to the stadium in the matches with Jose Mourinho in charge? We need to get rid. Our fans will not put up with that style. Ricky, going into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when we are allowed to, if you're watching, Jose Mourinho type football, how would you be feeling?
Well, I think we have really missed our crowd this year. I think there's been many a times over the years where we will get into a lull or we'll fall asleep for a second, and the crowd does get on the backs of our own players and does wake them up, and and when we're not happy, we let them know, and because we know what the boys can achieve. It's not just we want you to do better. It's like we know you can do better, and that's what's the real frustrating thing, especially with the players that we do have. But I think we need that. I think we need that back, and even for, like I say, even for Jose, man, like he needs his players. Like he needs players. He needs the majority of that 11. Like 5 or 6 of them to be at least his players, if not more. And like you said earlier, the majority of the players that are still there are the ones that have always been there, under Poch and here now. So we really do need to, get rid of that Edward, do better with selling, like Melvyn was saying earlier. And once we're back in that stadium, I think that there would be a different reaction. from the players. When we had 2,000 fans in that one game, I can't remember when, but you saw the boys, like suddenly there was a spring in the step, and it was like, oh, okay, and there was shifting energy from the whole team. So, you know, are we going to stand for the style? I think those that were poached out and those that once Mourinho came in was like, he's a serial winner, he's this guy that's going to bring us trophies. I think we would accept it if we're getting the 3 points and we're winning the games and we're looking like we're moving forward towards something. But me personally,
that happened earlier in the season when we were top.
What's that? What happened?
Sorry, I was saying that happened earlier on in the season when we were top of the league. You know, despite the style of football, you know, a lot of fans did accept it because we were winning, getting the 3 points. You're exactly right.
Yeah, everyone was behind it, but also with Mourinho and playing anti-football or fossil football or even defensive football. I've said this the whole time. I think he wants the balance, but I think he gets let down by the players that he puts on the pitch at the time, and I think he's a little bit lost with those that are on the bench and who to bring on, where to improve it. You know, him and Sacramento. I think Sacramento is a really important person in the management team, and he's a free-flowing, attacking football type of guy. And I think that what Mourinho was trying to do was get that balance right, you know. And there was a couple of games pre-Christmas that we had that balance right, you know, that the defense was looking solid. Dier did look all right before Christmas. There was a couple of games for him and we were looking okay, you know, and we were solid. But when it was time to attack, we attacked. But it's just every time we let these leads go, I think it kind of puts a stick up the backside of Mourinho to be like, well, we're gonna hold on. Well, we're gonna push back. Well, we're gonna have to work on this defense, you know. And the one thing that we all know is that we can't rely on the defense, and that the defense needs work. So of course, maybe the week was done all on defensive work, was done on holding, was done on containing and stuff like that, because we haven't got that right. We know if the back line and the defense are kind of, if they're all there, if they're all solid, then we can go and progress. But look at the gaps, and there's been so many gaps in that defense. Like I was saying today, man, like soon as with that Greenwood goal, soon as Dier stepped out and there was those massive gaps that there was against Man City and West Ham, I was like, here we go. And then Greenwood scored, and I was just like, you know, like, so it's not like that defense doesn't need work. It's not like, you know, Jose coming from a defensive kind of coaching style wouldn't go, okay, well, cool, let me take this week. Do you know what I mean? Or let's work on this week, because this is what really needs to be done. It's a really tough one, man. I mean, I think like what Melvyn said, we really do need a good summer. If we all know that Levy's had a love-in with Mourinho and has wanted Mourinho for a very long time. So if I'm truthful, if I look to my soul, I don't see Levy sacking him. So if you're not going to sack him, then you've got to back him. You have to back him within the market. You have to give him what he needs. I mean, we all knew. I mean, look at the summer gone. Yes, we brought in Højbjerg and Reguilon, which were two people that I was like, okay, cool. But we were after Skriniar or Ruben Dias was the rumors. It was going to be one or the other. And we didn't get neither. You know, we didn't get neither. We got Rodon. Now, no disrespect to Rodon, he's a young player. He's a player that is part of a project. Do you know what I mean? But if we would have got that one defender that Jose was asking for, then maybe we would have had a better season. Maybe we would have progressed after Christmas. Maybe we would have had a bit more faith in that backline, and we could have done the things that we wanted to do and played what we want to play. You know, I don't think Mourinho wants to just play boring football all the time. He wants us to go. You know, there's been a couple of rules from players that have said it's not Mourinho telling us to sit back. It's just something within us. And if that's something within us, that's fear. That's being scared. Do you know what I mean? That's all of those things that put you into your shell. And if you're always worried about conceding a goal, you're going to concede a goal. You know, if you're always worried about, oh, we're going to lose it, you're going to lose it. You know, they didn't have that with Poch. You know, I remember a Swansea game. I don't know if you guys remember. It was like 1-1, and I think we scored in like the 93rd minute to make it a 2-1 win. Because we never gave up. And we had faith within every single player on that field. Now, that ain't there. It ain't there. You know, people don't have faith in the centre-back partnerships. We haven't replaced Kyle Walker. You know, like Serge hasn't replaced him. Trippier hasn't replaced him. Nobody's replaced Kyle Walker. We haven't gone out and got that dynamic, dynamite, quick, all-round right-back. You know, we was after Ricardo Pereira that ended up going to Leicester. It was either be Serge or Ricardo, and we went for Serge. You know, and Ricardo ended up being one of those players of the season that he went there. And yes, he's had an injury recently, and he's getting back into the side. You know, like,
but the bigger one, Ricky.
Opportunities with Spurs. That's what's. Go on.
And you haven't even mentioned Bruno Fernandes.
No. We lost Ericsson and we still haven't replaced him. The one thing we were absolutely craving today was any type of creativity. And all of our midfielders that we've bought, Ndombele, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, they don't offer any creativity. They didn't offer any today at all. I think Lo Celso is a decent centre mid, but he's not an attacking midfielder. He's nothing like Ericsson. Ndombele, yeah, he's got great skill. And he's a very talented boy, but he's not an Ericsson. He's more like a hybrid Moussa Dembele. And then you've got Højbjerg, who's a classic CDM. We do not have an attacking midfielder to feed Kane, to feed Son, to feed Lucas. We are absolutely dying for it. And we are relying off central defensive midfielders to create chances for our attacking players. And you will get nowhere doing that. And that is one of our biggest problems at the moment, because I saw a video on the Tottenham page of that goal that Son scored in the quarterfinal against Man City at our home stadium when we just moved in and we beat them 1-0. And do you know what happened? Ericsson got the ball on the edge of the box. He took a look left and a look right, and he just swooped the ball. Lovely little assist to Son. We don't do that anymore. We just pass the ball to the right back and then put in a cross, or the ball goes back and then it goes to centre back, and then there's no creativity. And there was an article I read the other day. What happens is the ball just keeps being recycled every single time. It goes backwards from our attack. It gets sent backwards, and it ends up being passed around the defence because they've got no creativity this side. And we're not going to win any games if we don't have any creativity. That is just our huge problem at the moment. And you're totally right, Ricky. We haven't replaced hardly any of these players. You look at Man City and they go out and they buy like 3 players who are world class in each position. I know we're not Man City, but we have got to sort this problem out. We can't sell massive players like Kyle Walker, like Ericsson, like Wanyama, and the most important ones like Jan Vertonghen. Jan Vertonghen was massive for us, and we didn't really bring anyone in. You can't say that Rodon brought in is better than Vertonghen, because he isn't. I love Rodon. I think he did a good job today, Rodon. He's young. He's inexperienced. He's from the Championship, but he's not a Vertonghen.
We do need to talk about today's game, Josh. So,
of course.
I'm just going to get through a couple of these super chats. It's funny, we're almost 55 minutes in and we haven't even discussed today's game. We're just discussing the situations. It's funny how that happens when we have a very bad result on this channel, because we get lots of super chats in here and lots of fans want to vent their frustrations, and rightly so. I'm going to ask all 3 of you very quickly David's question here. I'd be happy with a cup or the League Cup and the Europa League. How do you guys feel? Me personally, obviously we want Champions League at the new stadium, but if it's not Champions League, we have to have European football. And I'd be absolutely delighted if we won a League Cup. And, whether Jose Mourinho will be our manager or not next season, whether he wins the League Cup or not, I want to win that League Cup because 13 years without a trophy is far too long. Melvyn, what are your thoughts?
Do you reckon everyone's tone about Jose would change if we win that cup?
I think that people's tone will really change if he doesn't win it.
I don't expect us. I'll be honest. I don't expect us to win against Manchester City because why would we? We've not been playing well all season. No, because let's be honest. Why would we win against Manchester City? They're in the Champions League. They're playing well. They're first place in the league. We're I think 6th or 7th position. We're not playing well. But it's a final. You never know what's going to happen. But I don't expect us to win. But obviously, it's gonna. If we do win that cup, which something Pochettino wasn't able to do, he wasn't able to get us over the line. This is what Jose is known for. If he cannot get us over the line with the players we have, it's going to be very difficult. Obviously, but we have players who've played in Wembley, who are comfortable playing there. Harry Kane. These guys have played for a whole season in Wembley Stadium. It could be really close. These things. The game is such fine margins. It could help us. Finally. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Melvyn. Yeah.
Yeah, so I honestly, personally, I don't expect us, and I'm already preparing myself for another loss in a cup final, because why would we win against Manchester City? Nothing is showing me that we can beat them. Seriously, who can honestly say is confident and that we're going to beat Manchester City in the final?
Like you said, it's
not many people would raise their hand and say, "I'm confident that we're going to beat them," because they're flying and we're struggling, against Newcastle and we can't clean sheets and in a final these things matter. The defense is what wins you leagues and wins you cups.
Yeah.
If we can keep a clean sheet against Manchester City, we'll win because our attack will get 1 or 2 goals for sure. And
Josh, how are you feeling?
I don't know. I don't know about that game, because if you're Marcelo Bielsa, you're laughing right now, because I thought Leeds, they played City off the park the other day. The Premier League at the moment is so insane, you can never tell what's going on. So in a cup final, in the Carabao Cup, in a cup final, you can't tell what's going to happen. Form goes out the window. So we could scrape a win versus Man City. But if you look at the trends, City are a better side than us. You just have, logically, they are a better side than us. We just said that their squad depth is so much better than us. They've got so many world-class players. However, we've got some world-class players, and these players that we've got really do need to they need to go and win a trophy. It's the only thing now that could actually save our season, that could put any kind of positivity. Everything else is negative about the season. The only positive note that we could have is to win this Carabao Cup. And I'm not going to go as a Spurs fan, and I want to win this cup so bad, and I'm sure every Spurs fan does. So I'm not going to go into this game going, "Oh, we're going to lose to City." We have to go and win. We have to. Yeah. We just have to. There's no more mucking around now. They genuinely need to they need to sort themselves out now until, what is it, April? It's literally in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks. 2 weeks today.
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks' time. They need to sort themselves out. These players. They need to give themselves a right hard look, and they have failed us for the past couple of years. Every time it's got to a big occasion, they bottle it, and this is the one occasion where they need to show us fans what they're made of, because otherwise they're not going to change. They're genuinely not going to change. If it happens again, if we're just going to bottle another cup final or just get rolled over by Man City, then I seriously think these players will never win a trophy, because they've done it so many times and they make the same mistake over and over and over again. And the definition of stupid is making the same mistake over and over again. And this is what these Spurs players keep doing. They keep going 1-0 up and then they bottle it. And I remember when all the rival fans teased us years ago, sending pictures of Spurs players with bottles on their head. And I went, "Oh, don't be ridiculous. Don't be silly. That's mean." And now I just think you're right. They are bottle jobs, and it's horrible to say that, but they are. They are completely bottle jobs, and it's horrible to admit that as a fan. And it shouldn't be that way. So we've got to go into this Carabao Cup final, and they've got to show us. And the only way they can show us is on that football pitch. That's the only way they can show us. They've got to go and win that game. Otherwise, I think there's going to be some big changes this summer, and I certainly think Jose will be off. I think he's got until that game. I think Levy will back him until that game in 2 weeks' time. I reckon he's got 2 weeks. If he wins that, he'll stay. If he doesn't, he's off. He's going to get sacked. That club statement will come out if we lose that game, and he will be sacked. I genuinely think that.
Wow. Ricky, a very quick answer from you, if you can. Will you be happy with a Europa League place and the Cup final? Is that enough to keep Jose Mourinho in the job, and will he be in the job next season if that is the case?
Would I be happy with that? Yeah, but it's the least. It's the least that we could do. Do you know what I mean? Like we all expected a lot more this season. I will say this real quickly if I can, Chris. I remember the last time we won it. I was there at the old Wembley, and that was another time where previously we hadn't won a trophy for a long time. And I remember we won the cup within Wembley. It went off, right? But I remember jumping on the train with my dad on the way home with a bunch of Tottenham fans. And everybody was silent. There wasn't no raucousness. There wasn't no singing on the train. The reason being, I think, is because it was great to win, but at the same time, it was only the Carabao Cup. And I think that if we win this, then all that does, it just dampens down the we don't win trophies trope for a season, you know? But like Josh was saying, this squad and these players, they do need to show up and they do need to win something for themselves. You know, it is a one-off game. It is at Wembley. You know, Wembley was our house for a little while. It was our summer house for a little while. We know the ground. We know the atmosphere and the surroundings. There's going to be fans in that stadium, thank goodness. So hopefully we can see like a response, and hopefully we can all be celebrating at the end of it. But it's going to be a really, really tough day. We know now any team that wants to get something from the game when they're playing Spurs, all they got to do is go at us and attack and just have that within them. You know, so it's going to be really tough. But will I take it? Of course I would. On Mourinho, bro, I think it's been such a crazy season that I just don't see Lee sacking him this year. I mean, regardless of what happens, I just don't see him doing it. I don't see him doing it. Yeah.
Melvyn, let's come to you. Let's get on to today's game. Obviously, Manchester United put the ball in the net. Cavani scored. It then got disallowed for a foul on Heung-min Son. How did you see the incident? Do you think that was the right decision?
I don't know. I was screaming, you know, for it to be chalked off, but you know, and then when I heard, you know, the Sky Sports guys, obviously they're gonna say, you know, that it shouldn't have been, it shouldn't have counted what's happened with football, but you know, it kept us in the game. I think Son had a reaction to being hit in the face as well, because he looked lively straight after, and I started to think, why do we have to concede a goal for us to react, you know, to attack, to really do anything? Why do we have to concede a goal to do anything? It happens time and time again, and conceding a VAR goal that was disallowed was pretty much the same effect. You know, finally the team had a bit of spark in them all of a sudden, and we were, you know, darting forward and trying to get something going, which led to our goal, which, you know, we got a bit lucky with, I think, with Lindelof's defending. But, you know, it was a great move and a great finish. Yeah, VAR has been a weird season. You know, when it goes for you and you're happy, but when it goes against you, you know, you blame these things and you can't control it. Sometimes it helps us and sometimes it doesn't. That seems to be, you know, football nowadays. And before it was refereeing. Sometimes referees, gave you that, last minute penalty, and sometimes they didn't. And it's just sometimes it goes for you and sometimes it goes against you, and you can't really control it. But, today it went for us. So, it's disappointing that we lost, not even getting a draw out of United. I honestly didn't expect us, to win today. I've sort of given up on the season. The only thing to look forward to was the cup final, because we're still the same team, the same players, the same mistakes. I'm only looking forward to next season and bringing these guys in. That's why I think, talking about today's game, and we keep drifting off this topic, it's because it's the same story. It's the same mistakes, the same people, the same substitutions. Literally photocopy. Every single match is exactly the same, and nothing changes because we're still with the same manager, same players, and something has to change. Either there needs to be new players into the club, or there needs to be a new manager in the club. And I don't think the manager is the problem. I think it's the players. A guy of his quality and his experience. It's not the manager, is it? People are saying Jose out. I don't agree with the statement. Yes, he plays a bit boring football. It's pragmatic, but the guy, I don't see it. I don't see another manager succeeding with this bunch of players. I think there's too many bad. There's a couple of bad characters in this dressing room. I think Moussa Sissoko had no impact in the second half. I don't know, I veered off topic there, but the game, I didn't see us even getting back into it when we conceded. It lacks belief. I don't believe in the squad anymore. Under Poch, I used to believe that even if we concede, we can get back into it. We can score. We can get a last second winner or get a point out of the game. I just don't see it anymore.
Well, the professional game match officials board on that incident with the Cavani disallowed goal, they said it wasn't part of Scott McTominay's natural running movement. It was careless. That's why it was disallowed. Now, Josh, let's come to you. Heung-min Son put Tottenham Hotspur 1-0 up. A fantastic move. Harry Kane to Lucas Moura, and then Heung-min Son finished off. Talk us through the goal.
Yeah, I thought, we were actually creating something. We did look a bit more lively. We started getting going, and that was a lovely goal and a good ball from Lucas across the box and a good finish from Son. It's just such a shame now, and what Melvyn was saying, when under previous managers we might have thought, let's go and get a last minute winner, but the first thing that comes into your head when Tottenham score is, what's going to happen? When are they going to concede? What's going to happen next? And do you know what? Do you know why? Because of that West Ham game. And I will never get over that West Ham game, because even if we're 3-0 up, we'll still bottle it. And I just can't get over that West Ham game. And I genuinely think that killed our season. That is what has completely killed our season. It was like 6 games in, and I don't think you're going to ever recover from being 3-0 up and then and losing it in that manner. And I think that's just been a telltale sign for the whole of this season. However, though, I thought in the first half we played quite well in the first half, and getting that goal was deserved. I thought, although there weren't many chances, it was good that we put that one away. And that goal that Cavani scored, I thought, that had to be kind of disallowed. McTominay, you can't be having your arm and your arm up here. That's going to be a foul. And they don't learn, Man United, because Martial got sent off in that fixture against Spurs when they lost 6-1 because he elbowed Lamela with a high arm. You can't do that in football. This is football, not handball. So of course that goal was going to be disallowed, and all these Man United fans posting on social media saying, Son's a diver, he needs to speak to Tom Daly. No, more like McTominay should have been sent off the pitch. I thought Man United today were quite dirty. They got a lot of yellow cards. There was a lot of tactical fouling going on. There could have been some red cards, but we didn't make the most of it. But after that Son goal, we just fell apart. We did just fall apart. There was no creativity, hardly any chances. I think we had 1 or 2 chances where Kane tried to chip Dean Henderson from about 30 yards out, which is a random shot. But yeah, we got mauled in the second half. They completely did us in the second half, which was disappointing. We didn't deserve anything from the second half performance, and that is combined with Jose's substitutions, taking off Moura, taking off Ndombele. I thought there was silly changes, defensive changes which didn't need to be made. We needed to go for Man United, but we just sat back and took it. And we deserved to lose, to be quite honest, in that second half, because that was not good enough, and that is not to dare is to do. And Tottenham of old would be turning in their grave at watching that, because that was not good enough.
Well, I think Roy Price on screen sums it up here: gutted, and we were totally played off the park in the second half. Of course, goals from Fred, Cavani, and Greenwood. Now, I just want to end this show on a positive, if we can. Score predictions for the Everton game. We are still chasing that top 4 spot. I know it looks unlikely. Points off. I love how Ricky's laughing. Ricky, you're one of the most positive people I know, and you're one of the most positive people that come on this channel. So if you now say that Tottenham are not going to win, I'm not going to believe you. We are chasing that top 4 spot. We are chasing the Europa League spot. We're chasing something. I don't know what it is, but we're chasing something. We have to chase something. And as you said, Josh, about the cup final in 2 weeks' time, we've just got to just hope that something good happens and we finish this season on a positive. Now, just give me your score predictions for the Everton game on Friday. Melvyn, let's start with you.
1-0. 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Josh, what about you?
You know what? I'm going to say a 1-1 draw as well. It's the first thing that came in my head too.
Yeah, Kev writes here, chasing sanity. Is that what you're laughing about, Ricky?
I'm just laughing in general, bro. I'm just laughing in general. This is hilarious. I'm going to say 4-1 Tottenham.
Oh, I thought you said Everton.
There you go. I told you he's positive.
No. 4-1 Tottenham. 4-1 Tottenham, man. We need something, but it's 1-1, yeah?
1-1. I'm going for 1-1. I think that this game against Manchester City in 2 weeks' time, this cup final, I think that Jose Mourinho is just pinning all his hopes on winning this trophy. And you know what Jose Mourinho's like. He will come out and say, if we win this trophy, he will come out and say, look, we haven't won a trophy for 13 years and I've delivered you one. What's your problem?
Yeah.
And if we get a Europa League place, I think that he will be very, very happy with that. And then it's going to be a very, very big summer for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. But I think this game in 2 weeks' time is a huge game for the club, for the fans, for Jose, for the board, Daniel Levy, etc. I think it is absolutely huge. A trophy must be delivered. And I think if Jose gets us over that line and gets us Europa League football, I think that that's going to be acceptable for the board. I really do. And I think that it's then down to the board to really back Jose Mourinho in the summer and spend big, because this rebuild is absolutely huge. Yeah. Anyway, Ricky, Josh, Melvyn, thank you so much for joining me. I know it's never, ever easy talking about a Tottenham Hotspur defeat. Ricky, I said to you off camera when we started, we should stop meeting like this. Hopefully next time you're on the channel, we are talking about a Tottenham Hotspur win. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, man.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.